Hey guys, here we are, the Quiggin Out MMA Podcast, episode 24, and I have the one and only Emmanuel Sanchez with me, coming off a huge victory less than 2 weeks ago against Daniel Weichel. How we doing, Mr. Sanchez?
Oh, great. Thank you.
You know, you look tired. I appreciate you taking the time. I'm sure, like I said, you want to rest up, but, you know, let's really just jump right into it. How are you feeling after that huge victory over Weichel, putting you one step closer to where you want to be?
It's quite a relief. I'm going on my vengeance tour, just avenging all my losses till I go out and win this whole Grand Prix. So, one down, two more to go.
And it's pretty exciting because you took a pretty similar path, from the last time we talked in 2018. You had beat guys like Georgie Karakhanyan, Galvo, Strauss, Cecilia, and then you ran into Pitbull, and then you had to fight Georgie again. You had to fight Tyvon Claxton, and now Weichel, whichever we're going to go with, depending on who's doing the commentary. So you really are on, like you said, a world tour of guys that have beaten you, that are relevant in this situation. So it's got to feel pretty good.
Very.
So I really love that. When you looked at this tournament from the beginning, you were one of the favorites just because of how close your fight with Pitbull was. Guys like Pat Curran, another person who handed you a loss long, long ago. He went out in the first round. Strauss went out in the first round. It was kind of interesting how this whole thing has gone up. So how do you see your second time against Pitbull being different than the first time out, being that first fight was so close?
Because I learned a lot from that fight. He motivated me a lot. After our fight, he went off to go and win the lightweight title, finishing, Chandler, another beast of legend of Bellator, in, less than 2 minutes. So that only gave me a power shot and more motivation and encouragement, knowing where I stand in the world amongst the elite of the elite, and knowing that I can do that as well too. I can accomplish such great things. Uh, Obviously, that setback just prepared me for something that was greater.
Yeah, and I love that you look at it that way because we it comes up almost every single episode. You learn more from a loss than you do a win, especially a loss that's so close. So, like you said, I love that his success is actually more of a driving factor for you. And it kind of sounds like I don't want to get too far ahead and not look too far ahead, but it looks like you wanting to do that kind of that two weight division kind of thing. Maybe something in your future, seeing as how at least once you fought as high as welterweight. Hopefully, never again, because 45 is where it's at. So,
Yeah, my mind is all on winning this Grand Prix. Um, it seems like the champ and champ and with C4 and all these other people hunting. I feel like those fights for the wrong reasons. Um, I feel that as far as 45 goes, other than Aldo, I'd say McGregor just because he's been such a draw. But Aldo, when you think of title defenses and when you think of the run at 145, other than McGregor and Aldo, as far as some of the biggest names, um, there hasn't been a long list or win streak of guys who have done something as great as Anderson Silva or Mighty Mouse or Jordan St. Pierre. And I'm saying going off winning the title and then having a long title defense run, I feel like that solidifies your position as the absolute, not only best, I guess, in the division and at the time, pound for pound, but also of that time in that era. So, me wanting to have that in this modern wave, I think a lot of people just want to already think too far ahead in some of these fights. For me, more than anything, is just wanting to win this Grand Prix.
and I love that you brought that up because I'll immediately throw Connor out of the pound for pound just because if you really use title defenses, the man has zero. Um, I mean, he's fought at 3 different weight classes. That's great. He won belts at 2 different weight classes. He beat Aldo in 13 seconds. Still, probably the angriest I've ever been after a fight because we all got together, chipped in money to watch that pay per view, and then it happens. So it was pretty frustrating. But talking about like the greatest, you mentioned Anderson Silva, you mentioned the Mighty Mouse, which Mighty Mouse has really kind of dropped out of everybody's mind once he went to one. It's kind of like, and now, more recently you've got John Jones and, fighting about how Khabib's number one. And, what's your take on that situation? Because there's so many different factors that people put into considering the greatest of all time. What's your determining factor for that? Is it just that long title run, or the way they win and how they carry themselves inside and outside the cage?
Obviously that, yeah, inside and outside, how they carry themselves in the ring, but also I feel is something what St. Pierre and Anderson and Mighty Mouse did. I don't know. It's John Jones. You got to give John Jones that too. It's just no. Yeah, I think I was about to say who holds the record, but cleaning out your weight division before you go up or down or any other super fight, whatever that people name up, I think solidifies your status as one of the not necessarily greatest of all time, but greatest of all time in your weight class. So I feel like that's something that there's goats everywhere, and it doesn't really matter what era, what time period, whatever, but that's the beautiful thing about MMA. Every fighter can go out and accomplish some feat that has never been done, or do something in some way, shape, or form that leaves an impact on the sport.
Absolutely, and I love the bringing that up too, because it has been a time frame. There was easier ways to get fights now than there were before. Guys like Fedor. People have always brought up Fedor as being one of the greatest, and then you look at some of the people he fought, and they're like, well, those were kind of not the greatest matchups for him. But at the same time, he fought whoever he had to fight. A fight is a fight. Anyone can win on any given day. So I love that you said someone can always do something different. Somebody can always be the upset. And I feel like this is you truly defining going into this fight with Pitbull. You're not saying, oh, this, that. You literally took a loss, said, I'm going to be better. And, I mean, you're showing it. You've got 3 straight wins after that. You're 2 wins away from, winning the Grand Prix, the $1 million, which is a huge payout, especially for any fighter who's not named Conor, really. So I'm hoping, these tournaments continue, and it's something when Bellator went away from tournaments, I was really upset because I really liked the tournament format. And obviously this year, it's been completely different. So talk about kind of your mindset, how it was to, be ready to go into that fight earlier this year and it get pushed all the way back to 12 days, 11 days ago.
Yeah, I was ready to fight and they got canceled just like that. And it was unfortunate, but everything happens for a reason. And COVID gave me new purpose. I not necessarily, I'm not the type of person to just say whatever happens for a reason, but I'm a strong man of faith, and I really believe that the world needed to be put on hold. So God really changed everybody's life because it impacted everybody. And I think this not only just this nation, but the world needed to see is they got to come together and do better, because there's been a lot of crazy stuff been going down in the world, man. And I think the world needs a little more peace, love, and Hakuna Matata right now to spread nothing but peace, love, and kindness as opposed to Corona. It's been a struggle, but I'm glad we're back, and I'm glad some states have opened. I know there's some are closed now again, but I'm praying that everything will be taken care of, and whether they need to find some way to destroy this virus or whatever they need to do to be able to control this virus. But I hope everything does continue to be under control in states, and don't need to be locked down, and we don't need to go into quarantine and who knows whatever other stuff again. For the small businesses and for the sake of everybody else in the world, and for people staying healthy too.
Well, I gotta say that's probably the best explanation I've heard about why this happened, or what's going on, the best outlook on it. And I also love that you brought up small businesses, because as you can see, there's 3 on my hat. These are all small businesses that are local to me, friends of mine. Trying to support them in any way you can, and that's what people need to focus on right now. Don't focus on doing what you were doing before, because it's got to change. We've got to change how we are with each other, and a lot of people have looked at COVID as only a negative aspect instead of the people who have really built stuff out of it. They've changed careers, they've changed their life around, they've changed their intensity about focusing on their future. So I feel like if people can continue to gather that positiveness from it and what they're doing in their lives and being, like you said, kind to each other, something we shouldn't have a pandemic to understand. Like that should be going on anyways. So,
Absolutely.
and I've got to ask, I see Guard of the Galaxy on your shirt because I thought it said Guardians and it's all the Hypnotic. So is that actually one of their shirts? That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, in the back it says, "Winners make it happen. Losers complain about it not happening." So this is a pretty dope shirt.
Yeah. Well, I always love that, and we always end up bringing pop culture into it anyway. So I love the Guardians of the Galaxy just getting on there, for sure.
Absolutely.
So, I kind of want to go back to the beginning. The last time we talked, we didn't really go into that like how you got started kind of story, but I feel like as you've gotten further throughout this, like people need to know who you are. They need to know where you came from because you're 2 fights away from winning this Grand Prix. That's huge. If people didn't know who you were before, they feel like they should know now, even after. He's shaking his head.
No, they will. They'll know. Me winning this thing is gonna change a lot of things. I'm saying for my life and livelihood, or anything that I've been working for. The only reason I got into the sport was to be a world champion. Yeah, that's it. Nothing else. You can win $1 million by winning the lottery. You can be a millionaire doing plenty of other things. How many other millionaires you know in this lifetime that have gone broke? But how many world champions can you name in MMA? That's a completely different story.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I never chased anything else but the dream. The dream is to be world champion. Even winning this next fight, so.
Oh, there we go.
I still need to take out 2 men to win this whole thing and become world champion. So that's exactly what I'm gonna go out and go do. And that's all that it's ever mattered to me is to, having the straps. That's it. And then really care about anything else. What I want, money can't buy.
Absolutely, and I mean that's a heck of a way to look at it. Like you said, you got into this to be a champion. Most fighters will say the same thing. But they hit a roadblock and they just never recover from it. They're always in that that mental mindset, and you have fighters who look too far ahead. You have them who look who've just focused on what's in front of you, and I feel like you're doing a little bit of both in the sense that you're focused 100% on this Pitbull fight. I know that no matter where this happened in the tournament, you wanted this fight again.
Yeah, absolutely. The story I get to tell is being the guy on the hardest side of the bracket. For one, my fight got canceled. And then I got another fight and I had to wait for him to get back to be able to be good even during this COVID thing. And that was one guy who's got to win over me, and I'm about to fight someone else who's got to win over me. So, and then at the end, I get to avenge another loss as well too. So I mean, this is me really leading a remarkable story that not only by winning this whole thing, but I had the hardest road out of any of these guys to win this whole thing. So that's something that you can't write a better story than that.
No, and I'll agree with you 100%. You look at the other side of the bracket, the way it went, and again, it's a weird situation because you've got the McKee Caldwell fight that just happened. McKee's already moved on to the end. You still have the fight with Pitbull, then you have the fight with him. So it's kind of like that longer wait. Do you feel like that's going to play a factor in it? Not looking too far ahead, but the timeline has just been all over the place. And I mean, it really has jumbled you guys in a way that if this had gone the way it was supposed to, would have been perfect. But I feel like it's part of the overcoming adversity. So you feel like that's going to play to your favor, making him wait all that time?
I mean, I don't know if they'll even make him wait that much. That's why it would be harder because I got to win and they're going to try to rush to make sure I'm in good health to be able to go make it happen because I'm sure he'll be ready because obviously you just saw how his fight went. But So, I mean, I'm going to go out there, and if it's another 5 round war with Patricio, or, I go out there and finish him in the first round, something like that would be ideal, right? But all that matters is me getting my hand raised. So I don't care how I do it or how it comes, as long as I win. And that's what I'm looking to go out and go do. That's exactly what's going to go out and happen. But uh, I'm not really too focused on any of that stuff. That stuff has crossed my mind, but
Of course.
more than anything is that's all it is. It's just like a thought or an idea that crosses my mind. Outside of that, there's other dreams that I have from it, I guess, or visions, something potentially that could come from it. But at the end, it's all about turning my dreams into reality. So no matter how it plays out, it's going to end with me winning it and me being able to tell this story and share this story with everyone. You know what I mean? Knowing, because those who don't know, so many just casuals and people, they have no idea that me and Pitbull have fought before. Everyone just thinking it's going to be all Pitbull, and they don't know that we fought before. Likewise with Weichel, going into that last one. There's still people who they don't know that this is a rematch, but it's all right. I know that obviously he's got a victory over me, and I didn't win the belt, and I didn't become champion. I didn't get my hand raised, but a greater lesson was bestowed onto me that night, and you can only go onward and upward from that. And being such a strong man of faith that I am, is that something like that needed to happen in order to make me the man that I am and fighter that I am now, to be able to go out and do what I'm going to go do.
Yeah, and I mean, you said it. You said it best the last time we talked, and you just said, the quote was, "One day your idols become your rivals." Moving up the ranks, these were the guys you were looking up to. But as you got closer to the top, you realized, those are the guys I'm fighting. And I feel like your focus isn't someone who's overly confident or, naive to what's going on. You understand how difficult this fight is, but you also realize that you've been in there with him before. You made the adjustments with Weichel, and you looked outstanding, almost had the finish. It was a completely different fight from the first time around. So I feel like that's what we're going to see going into this Pitbull fight. You're going to see a different fighter, and it's really Pitbull we have to thank for that, to giving you that extra motivation.
Yeah, it's definitely both of them, Pitbull and Weichel. You mentioned Curran earlier. If Curran was still in this thing, I would have wanted that fight back too. But he was out, so that was one less rematch I needed to think about. But after that whole selection show and seeing how this whole thing would play out, like, that's exactly the story I'm trying to tell, and that's like what a whole new dream was born and a whole new vision was, and then you add COVID to it, and you can't write a better story of everything that's been going on, of the growth and development that I've had, not just through martial arts to make me that better, much of a fighter, but as a man.
Oh, absolutely. And how many other fighters can really say 3 of their 4 losses potentially could have been avenged in one tournament?
Yeah.
I don't think that's ever happened. So we'll say it right here. It's never happened before.
Mm-hmm.
So go back to the beginning when you first got the bug, to fight. You talk about being a strong man of faith. Did that start prior to fighting, or did that become with fighting? Was that a time that came up?
I always have been. Every time since I was skateboarding or any sports I played as a kid, I was just prayed to God to. For one, I'm thankful to do this and think of all the other kids out there in the world who don't have the opportunity, and been, fortunate to have live the life that I've lived, or be able to do any, things that I do. But also keep it safe, because I mean, just anything can happen. I'm so thankful. I've only ever had 2 surgeries, that nothing serious though, no broken bones, and just the worst fight injuries is just some cuts. Thankfully, just some stitches I had to heal in time, but thank God for that, man. And I've been fighting for 12 years, so I've just always had a deep conviction and belief and faith in my heart that no matter what I wanted to do, if I applied myself to it, I could make it happen. Unfortunately, I also am a realist, when it came to these things that if I couldn't become successful as a professional soccer player or basketball player, or I obviously I wasn't a fool. I knew when something wasn't my calling, I lost my passion for it. Not necessarily that I hated it, I just lost my passion for it. And it wasn't until the dream of wanting to to be an MMA fighter, and I told myself maybe even after one fight, depending how it goes, everyone thought I was gonna get my ass kicked and stuff like that. Just people, they look out for you and love you. They don't think that you have it in you, and they say they support you, but they really don't. And so it was a test for me. I said, I'm gonna be honest with myself. I'm gonna give it all I got, and um, even in doing my best, if I get my ass kicked, then all right, maybe it's not my thing. But if I'm successful at this, and I really feel like I can do this, and if I work hard at this, and not lie to myself, like really give it all I got, then let's see how far I can go. And here I am.
Well, and here you are, almost 9 years to the day of your first professional fight. You're 30 years old. You have 24 fights under your belt. You've pretty consistently fought at least 2 to 3 times a year. Obviously, this year being the exception, completely out of your hands. And I feel like if it was up to you, you'd have everything wrapped up and probably be looking for a fourth one. The way that you handle, like you said, you're not getting injured, you're getting cut. And again, to anybody who's watching who didn't know about you fighting 11 days ago, nobody would have even looked at you and said, "Oh, he was in a fight." You really don't look like you took a lot of damage, and that comes with the experience you have, you know, the adjustments you've made and everything else. So, did you feel like 9 years ago you'd still be competing at this high of a level and still be, striving for that, that ultimate goal?
Yeah, I'm not married and I don't have any kids, and thankfully I don't have any other serious debts that that I needed in fighting or whatever to pay off. I've invested in nothing but my dream since I started this, so I knew I would just have to obviously work part time, full time, overtime, no matter how many times or whatever, and any of the jobs or whatever on the come up before I was able to um, do what I love to do for a living, and train full time and have this provide for me and everything. But um, I just never gave up, and I just knew. I mean, no matter how long it took me. I mean, look at Michael Bisping. That's another. To me, that's a goat too. Over 10 years in the UFC and never got offered a title shot, and then by not luck or chance, I just call it fortune. Unfortunately for someone else, but
Yeah.
someone pulled out. Fortunately for him, he was in shape and ready on 2 weeks' notice and became a world champion over someone who beat him, finished him before. So that's an amazing story to tell too. That's some goat level shit right there. So you gotta hand it to the man that see anything is possible, no matter no matter the circumstances, so long as you never give up. And so if it takes me till that long as well too, but it kind of already has, man. I've been calling for a title shot for quite some time now. I didn't know what it took or what it needed, and when it came to managing and fighting, but I mean, I fought Curran after my third Bellator fight, and
Yeah.
that was the last man to hold the title. So I knew where I was at in 2015. Still, 3 fights into Bellator. That was my third fight into Bellator. I'm fighting the last man to hold the title. So, damn, and that was a two-time champion too. So, and someone who also won a lightweight tournament and lost to Eddie Alvarez. I mean, the, I have less than 11 professional fights, and here I am fighting with somebody with that amount of experience, and still, was able to go the distance and earn a lot of respect and fans and all that stuff from it. Which people still don't know about. But for me, man, I used to let that kind of stuff get to me. Now, when with the way I see the world and how it is, man, it's like Muhammad Ali said. It's like, you know what, the birds fly, grass grows, waves pound the sand. I just beat people up. So when it comes to this all this other clout and notoriety that people want, and you could call it fame, I guess. It's like I didn't, Tupac said it best. All I want is money. Fuck the fame. I'm a simple man. So it's like me. Bellator is making my boss and people happy, man. Bellator is taking care of me. Bellator is what enables me to be able to live the life that I live and have. So my fight performances is what, and winning my victories is what pays my bills, and that's what's continued to have Bellator have interest in me to continue to keep re-signing me and taking care of me. So you have no complaints from me over here. And when it comes to fighter pay and anything like that, praise God, I'm taken care of. But that comes from being I know, at least a damn good fighter. I don't have a gang of knockouts or a gang of submissions or finish after finish, but I do know I'm very entertaining. I do know what I bring to the table. I do know people enjoy watching me fight. So as long as I go out there and put in a show and do what it takes to whoop that guy's ass, no matter what, knock him out, submit him, whatever it takes to win, I'm going to do it. So I feel like just doing that in itself and being able to, live the life that I do, and like you said, healthy and injury free, and I'm back in the gym already getting ready for Pitbull. I'm That's all I'm thinking about. All my focus has been at is continuing to just continue to get better, evolve, grow, and win this Grand Prix. So I know, even with how long it's been to get a title shot and then getting one and losing it and everything that's happened throughout this whole road, man, winning this whole Grand Prix is what's telling this great story. Is that okay? Obviously, one in Israel that wasn't for me. Now at the end of this Grand Prix, everyone gets to see what I get to really have in this story I get to tell. You know what I mean? By winning this whole thing. So that's exactly what I'm gonna go out and go do.
When I love how giddy you just got, like you were smiling, you were like so like into that because you're right. This is the dream and this is the way you're looking at it and you're looking forward, and we've talked about it before, when it comes down to rematches, everybody always says I'm going to be better, it wasn't my night, but you've already proved it once. You've got the next one coming up, but I love just what you were talking about, fighter pay. It's a hot topic that comes up along. What some people need to make and what some people think they need to make are two different things, and you're right. You have to be a damn good fighter, but you also have to be entertaining. You can't just go in there, finish somebody, walk out, not talk to anybody, not, kind of, make a, I don't want to say make a scene, but you really have to, like, show people why they need to watch you. And you've spoken, done that with the fights. You haven't had to be super outspoken or do some crazy stuff to get noticed. You just go in there and you perform in a way that, like you said, Bellator keeps signing you, which 3 losses in your entire Bellator career, I can't imagine they ever would not sign you again. You're still competing against the highest level, and look at the guys you're losing to are either former champions, former 2-time champions. I love that you brought up the current Alvarez thing because even I forgot about that. So, these are people who aren't just, being fed to you. And like you said, you do have the harder side of the bracket. So I love that you just, you're getting the chance to focus 100% on fighting. I know you said you got to do that as soon as you got to Bellator. And you've continued to be able to do that. So it's really exciting to hear, some positivity again throughout this year.
COVID gave me new purpose, man. I got COVID to thank for that, with everything that's been going on in the world, and then now going to fighting with no fans, and the protocol, how it goes into fight weeks now compared to what I was used to, and how things were done before. And I sometimes, man, I'm really oblivious to, I guess, because I don't read, the daily negativity that's in the world, man, about the politics and obviously about this virus and all this stuff. I don't want to dwell in that. I want to try to really focus on nothing but positive, good things that are happening in my life, in my family's life, in the gym life, like the positive things. The fact that when we open back up, the fact that restaurants are open again, and there's other good things happening in the world besides all this just negativity, man. And there's already enough of that going on right now. We don't need more of that. We don't need to think about more of that. And for me, I feel like living my best life. Some may think it's selfish, but as long as I know I'm happy and helping others around me be happy, then you can continue to make the world a better place. Even random strangers that I meet, at least be kind and share a smile through the mask, right? And say hi, bye, bless you if someone sneezed and not gonna be creeped out that I'm gonna get COVID or some shit and think I need to kill that person or whatever. Today I saw someone without a mask. Normally I'd be like, oh, where's this person's mask? But I'm like, dude, for whatever reason this person doesn't have a mask. They're the one who's gonna get in trouble if they're caught without it. So it's like, whatever. I'm not gonna go out and shun someone for not wearing a mask, but I have mine on. I'm playing by the rules. Whatever. Like, that's it. If I want to go out and get a coffee, if that's what I need to do, fine. I don't care. I'm in and I'm out. It's not a big deal. So see why some people again were arguing and fighting over masks and no masks, and so I just choose to live my life very, positive, happy, and spending nothing but peace, love, and Hakuna Matata, man. I'm real about that. And even going in and winning this Grand Prix and how great that is going to be is like still, I go out and do obviously bigger and better things than, for myself and for the world too. Because I feel like that's, with that whole thing happening, it gave me a much greater purpose. So I'm happy for it. It sucks.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it does suck. And, my fight got canceled for it. So, it's like that whole everything, the way what was gonna happen, this Grand Prix and my fight life and anything you could think of, right? Your year, what you planned out for vacations or anything else, it impacted everybody horribly, right? But I know a lot of people had it better, a lot of people had it worse, a lot of people lost their lives because of this. So again, man, just be grateful and be positive and always count your blessings.
And I've got to challenge you because you said it was selfish to be kind to others. And I feel like that's all we need to do. Like you said, smiling at somebody through a mask. Something I learned throughout the mask wearing life is you can see when someone smiles from their eyes. You can see the facial expressions. People pay attention a lot more. They really have to listen to you instead of just reading your lips or kind of like, if you're not paying attention to what somebody says when they have a mask on, you don't hear what's going on. And like you said, someone sneezes now, half the store will whip around and turn, if somebody coughs, and it's not the same that it used to be. It's not the same, like lifestyle. It's not the same interactions with people, The personal space, why did we need COVID for that? Like, sometimes you just need it.
Right. Yeah, I guess. And it put the world on hold, man, and I think everybody in some way, shape, or form was, changed because of this and should have at least. I saw the meme what they say that if you didn't come out of this quarantine learning a new skill or doing something better in your life somehow, learning something new or doing something, then you lack discipline. You didn't lack time, you lacked discipline. And throughout that whole time, I was very disciplined with a lot of other things in my life, and I knew what was important to me. And it definitely changed me and made me grow. So, and that being said, it sucks, but I guess it had to happen, and I get it. There's pre-COVID me and now post-COVID me. So what a change now. I'm a kids coach now, man. So it's like people say you're an example and you're a role model, even though I didn't ask to be or feel the need to be. But any fighter or anyone who's on a high stage of fighting or on that platform, they're seen as someone that like, hey, wow, someone looks up to this person. So gotta spread nothing but peace and love and positivity, like I said.
So what's that like being a kids coach now? Like you said, especially through all this, everybody's got a different mindset, and I love that you said, if you don't come out of this, with a new skill set, I've said it before, like this podcast is a direct result of COVID. It's, cleaning out a spare room, having to work from home, putting up the desk and realizing I have a perfect space for this. I can finally start to do this and do it in a world where the first 6 or 7 episodes, we didn't even talk about COVID. Like, we avoided it as much as possible because it was the only thing going on. There was no positivity. There was no, like you said, the norm was, hey, how you doing today? Well, I don't have COVID. Like, that was like the start of a conversation. So what's it like to be a kids coach now? I don't want to say that we're on the tail end of it because then people will get mad, but, we've been through it for this long. We're kind of understanding how things work. So what's it like being a kids coach, and like you said, people looking up to you because in a sense you're one of the ones who made it. You made it to the bigger stages. If not the biggest, depending on who you're asking.
I've been a kids coach for years, but being able to have the gym open and again, I remember I was explaining to them the last time the NBA got shut down and the world got shut down was Space Jam. So I'm as confused as everyone right now, children. I don't know how to handle this when we went to our months or whatever, however many weeks of quarantine and lockdown, whatever they call it. But are staying safer at home and practicing social distancing, right? But I when the gym opened back up, it seemed like no, parents are concerned, but still have a lot of kids. I had 30 kids today, so
Oh my God.
I my biggest thing is I'm teaching them a lot more than they're probably learning in school. Now they're all doing virtual school, so the education system isn't as strong as it used to be, and if it wasn't strong back then, we can only imagine now. So I do my best to make sure that the children are educated, not just in martial arts, but in all their other academics as well too, and in their morals and behavior. I'm wouldn't say like I'm a drill sergeant or a principal or like a hard nosed teacher, but uh, it's definitely much more than just a jiu-jitsu coach. So it's about being a black belt in life and wanting to be a great person in a world that right now doesn't seem too great. As with everything that's going on, be a great person and always be kind.
I mean, I don't know how I even respond to that, because it's absolutely right. You have become more than just a coach. And like you said, not a drill sergeant or a principal, but really you're having to teach these kids, the actual martial art that they're there to learn, but there's so much more to it that they're already learning in jiu-jitsu. But you're right, with them doing virtual, it's taking a lot of those elements out, those interactions, everything they have, making this a lot harder for them to function and, you know, evolve in a time like this. So it's really great that there are a lot of coaches. There's teachers out there too, but in this sense, you guys are becoming more than just, the person they go to a couple times a week for a few hours a week. You're shaping their lives and could potentially shape their life forever based on what you're doing with them now.
Absolutely. And a lot of these kids, I mean, think with no sports going on, all they have is MMA or jiu-jitsu. So something to burn all that energy out and something to give them to do. Otherwise you're going to have a generation of kids who are lazy, people who lack like a lot of physical strength, and people who probably all about guns and not actual self defense and think real man. Like I don't know. I was a very active person, so I think you can judging by the way I fight. You can tell I don't really like to hold still. So imagine someone who doesn't, get all that energy out. Like, what are you gonna do with your life? It lead to bad things. So it's channel that energy somewhere good.
Well, absolutely. So what were you doing all that time? Like you said you kept yourself busy, and with gyms closing down, I mean, what was driving you and keeping you going other than the obvious of, wanting to achieve your goal of getting those straps? I believe those were your exact terms. So
Exactly right. All three of them. Um, Winning this Grand Prix still. As much as I didn't know if I was going to fight this year, I was getting scared about what's going to happen with fights, what's going to happen with my finances, what's going to happen if they don't tell me till 2021 or we can never fight again. I don't know, man. Who knew or knows what was going on, what was happening? So I was just so grateful to fight. Just so grateful to get the opportunity to fight again. It'd been more than a year since I had that. I never had that before, especially being healthy. And not outside of being healthy, I mean, it was hard to just think about my fight with everything that's going on in the world and family members and making sure people are healthy and safe. of what's going on in the world. But I was training every day. I was still training every day and still staying positive, still staying patient, doing lots of just healing time in my body, but getting stronger. Uh, I have keys to the gym, so I was in the gym every day. And when it was nice out, me and my friends trained outside. So we would hit pads and clinch or grapple or just be kids out in the backyard, just having fun.
And I love that. Like you said, a lot of people, it was the motivation, but it was the creativity and the innovation. People had to figure out different ways to do things than what was the norm every day. And like you said, backyard, like that should be something you should be able to do anytime. But because you have the gym, you have the amenities, you're going to do it there just because of, what's available. So who were the people that were like keeping you, pushing you through all of this? That were probably in a pretty small circle at that point, for you guys to be able to train and keep things going.
Very. Uh, my teammates, Brian Bautista, Christian Rodriguez, Adam Darby. Uh, it was a great quarantine training, man. It was some of the best nights that I had throughout this whole time. My dog, I would take my dog to the gym with me. I ran a lot, spent a lot of time outside. There was a point during that time too where I didn't want things to open back up. Honestly, I wanted to stay in quarantine because I was enjoying training and enjoying being outside. If I knew, I'm like, damn, it's summertime now and it's being really nice outside. The more I'm in the gym, the more I'm going to want to stay in the gym, and it's nice out. We don't get good summers here, so I try to enjoy the summer as much as I can when I'm out here in Milwaukee. But I was also doing virtual online exercises for Rufus Sport members through our academy and our online. So I was still doing some form of exercise every day, which, not just because as a fighter, but I think any human being should do that to keep themselves in good shape and in good health. It's important for everybody to do something like that. So even if it was going out for a 3-hour walk with my dog just out in the woods, it was at the time of my life, and just walked and walked and walked and walked and had a lot of time to think and a lot of time to pray and a lot of time to reflect on what's going on right now in the world. So yeah, it was nice to get lost during those times.
And again, you have such a unique way of looking at it. A lot of people again focus on the negativity, and it seems like you said, you should just be able to on a given day, not having to work, go outside, walk around, enjoy the fresh air, and get lost in yourself. Not staring at your phone, not staring, getting caught up in everybody else. And I feel like sometimes we just need to shut off. We need a moment to be like, let's think about this. And this has given us, like you said, a lot of time to think. Some people it's been too much and they don't know what to do with the time. But even getting outside, like I said, I work from home. Go for a walk. Go for 2 walks. Just walk around the neighborhood. Like, do something to get yourself outside and not staring at the screen or sitting all day, because it will catch up. Um, and I love that you brought up the dog, because I was going to ask you about that next, because I know the last time you were like, after my fight, I want some pizza. I want to chill out with my dog and then eat some more pizza. So I kind of want to bring that into, did you get pizza after this win against Weichel?
Oh yeah, many times already. Probably too much now, but it's all good now. I mean, I maintain my health and my weight good, so I'm always training. So it just never stops. So it's like I'm constantly burning calories. So a lot of times, if anything that I put back in me, it's gone very soon.
For sure. What was your go-to pizza? Like, what's your victory pizza in that sense? Or is it just anything you can get your hands on?
Anything except thin crust. That's like an appetizer to me. I don't get that at all. A thin crust, flat bread, like tiny, like Pete. That to me, that's like an appetizer, like chips at a Mexican restaurant. That's what I feel like that is to me. A real pizza. a new big New York slice. So I had some. I was just out in Philly, so I had a legitimate Philly cheesesteak.
Oh, there you go.
So Philly's a big pizza, one of the probably biggest pieces of pizza I've ever had, East Coast style, and some deep dish. So as I'm getting older now, I don't know, deep dish is my thing. Otherwise, to justify the fact that it's still somewhat healthy, I always get a veggie. I always get a veggie pizza.
Well,
But I don't always feel as bad. I get extra vegetables on any kind of pizza I'm gonna throw on there.
I
Get
mean,
some fiber in there, right? So I've always thought that way.
that's probably the strangest way anyone's thought of a pizza. But I also love the we'll just say hashtag no thin crust, no flatbreads for you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, really, I appreciate you taking the time. It's been an absolute blast. But really, best of luck to you coming up. I never like to root for anybody, but at the same time, I've gotten kind of over that with COVID. I want to see good fights. I want to see people go out there, and change the scenery. With Chandler going to the UFC, I'm hoping Bellator does a refocus on, each one of their divisions and their homegrown guys. And you've become one of those. Like you said, after 3 fights into your career, you're fighting Pat Curran. That was already, what, 12 fights into your career, and you've gone straight up from there. You've always stayed at the top. You've always kept going, and that's what they need to do is focus on the guys like you. Eventually there are other guys. You've got Rickles went to BKFC. Obviously Chandler went to the UFC. Now's the time for you guys to shine and really put a focus on you. So I'm hoping that's what this Grand Prix does, and I hope they continue to do these Grand Prix and are able to do these for sure.
That's all
Did you just say that?
Yeah, just like Connor said, right? I'm not here to take part. I'm here to take over. Because my biggest thing, man, when I was told everything about this, they told me, okay, yeah, tournament, Grand Prix, $1 million, whatever, blah blah blah, and I'm like, okay, that's all great, 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 whatever. And I started to think of a bunch of different things. And then when I found out that it would be 16 instead of 8, like how welterweight and heavyweight was done,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, wow. I'm trying to think in my head out of 16. I'm like, who else, man? I'm trying to. I had no idea. I mean, I remember I had asked about some other guys or whatever when they even introduced the idea to me the first time when they told me when they weren't giving me a fight in early 2019, and I was waiting and waiting and waiting because they were holding off just to get me a fight in the Grand Prix. I wanted to fight in Chicago of May of 2019 when Pitbull actually beat Chandler. I wanted to be on that card. But they made me wait because they set up a Grand Prix that's coming, and a top 16. And I had no idea who. And then when I saw the announcements and when I saw everyone who was going to be in it, I'm like, damn, man, I fought most of these guys. And I was like, I saw the picture the way I wanted it to be. Like I said, not only avenging my losses, even though Queso Curran wasn't in it, but now these ones, but also uh, I mean, wow, yeah. I didn't get matched up or cross paths with anybody that I had a win over. I'm facing everybody that I lost to.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, so again, like I said, a man who had the toughest road, the first man to advance, and the last man to standing. So that's where the story I'm trying to write here. I was the first fighter to advance with the finish, and I want to end this thing, by winning this whole Grand Prix. And man, it's been a long, crazy road, but I'm grateful for it all to be a part of this. And yeah, damn, number 1 out of 16, right? So that's
Well,
that's the status I'm looking for. Number 1 out of 16.
and I mean, it was a pretty eclectic group of people. Former champions at 35 with Caldwell. You had Campos moving down. Obviously Curran, yourself. Strauss. It was just everybody was in this, and obviously Pitbull we knew was gonna make it further along. And I think more than anything, I'm just excited the two of you get to, have another. Let's say we're gonna say it's another 5 rounds. because I feel like it's going to be a meticulous picking apart like you did with Weichel. It was just, I mean, I rewatched some of the fight today of your fight with Weichel, and I'm just looking at the strikes you're throwing and looking at how you were throwing him, your movement and your technique, and I'm like, you're not the fighter you were 2 years ago. Absolutely not even close. So I hope Pitbull goes in there and thinks that you are. Because it's going to end with you being one step away from that $1 million Grand Prix win.
Championship win, because this next fight to me is just solidifying my spot in the final, and then after defeating AJ McKee, winning this whole thing and becoming the greatest featherweight that they've seen, because they haven't done a tournament they've never done a tournament like this. All those other tournaments before in Bellator were done completely out of whack, and I don't want to say out of whack, but at the time something that they had a completely different image. What Scott Coker has done has really taken Bellator to leaps and bounds of what anyone ever thought it would have been before, of the birth of Bellator, at least. This has been a whole rebirth and a continuous rebirth. Since I've been with the company, I've already fought on 5 different networks. So to me, that's very humbling, and I'm grateful for that opportunity. And my fights have been shown all over the world as well too, compared to what it has been before with Bellator or other fighters that they've had. And now you have, like you said, fighters, whether they've been signed since the previous years in Bellator or even recently. Now it's I still have the first gloves, actually, before they switched to the original reds and the original blues, look like Strikeforce.
Oh yeah.
I still have my first gloves. So I fought, that was the last year they started to use those Everlast gloves. So yeah, man, Bellator's definitely, I'm a Bellator grown fighter and want to be considered, having one of the hardest runs through the featherweight division through his tenure so far, but still being able to go out here and become world champion.
Yeah, and I don't think most people realize this, and I don't think it just sunk in till right now, but you beat Pitbull, you're the champion. Like, you get the belt from him, and then
in the final I'll get 2 more. So one
that's
right
amazing.
Here, one right here, and one right here. So
you guys heard it first. All 3 straps, not strap, not straps, straps.
Straps. That's why I said anything for the straps. It's all about the straps. And 1 out of 16. Number 1 out of 16.
And it was rightfully so, because like you said, you haven't had an easy road, whether it was before the tournament, during the tournament, after, whatever. You've not had an easy way through this. And I think that's made you even better of a fighter each and every time you step inside that Bellator cage.
Absolutely.
So
I'll continue to do so.
Of course, you're not here to take part. God, I hate Connor. I'm so sorry. I don't like what Connor did outside the cage. That's just my thing, but so I want to save the last part for you to kind of thank anybody who's helped you get through, the quarantine part of it, like you said, the staying at home. Those people, the sponsors, anybody that's been able to help you get through and continue to live your dream.
Just all my family members and everyone who's close to me, fighters. So obviously I got everyone that's in my academy at Rufus Sport, and all the other people in our village that help raise our tribe up, the gang of fighters. And I'm just grateful for everything. I'm excited to go out and win this featherweight Grand Prix.
Absolutely. Well, I really do thank you for your time. On behalf of, Epic Jits Tees for creating their logo, Combat Press for giving me the platform, and I love that, again, you brought up the small businesses, so I'm going to give them another shout out. We've got El Barba Cubano, keeping my beard nice and smelling good and, healthy. We've got Bertsos Bakeshop and Fat Boy Jiu Jitsu, because why not? I mean, I love these guys. I love being able to support them. So the next time we talk, you're going to have at least 1 strap on your shoulder. The time after that, you'll have all 3. So I can't wait for that, and I hope you have an amazing evening, sir.
Hey, man. You as well.
Thank you, sir.